we are flying across the skies above, and eventually we're able to board on the actual airships themselves. Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Piglet here, and I'm Sonic the Hedgehog here, and we are back for some more of yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Well, I usually accidentally say that twice, mind you, but still. Anyways, welcome back for more of Let's Play of Mario Party 10 for the Nintendo Wii U. So, yesterday, we did manage to explore under the water, or in this case, under the ocean. So that way, we did manage to explore through the third board in Mario Party 10 Mario Party mode. That's what appears to be by the forms of whimsical waters. And today, for this episode in particular, is the fact that we are moving on now to the fourth board in the game, specifically in the Mario Party 10 Mario Party mode. That's what appears to be probably our second favorite board in this game. And that's what appears to be by the forms of Airship Central. And this particular board is going to take place in somewhat above the skies, while simply able to hop onto different airships in between. So, it does have some bit of variety involved in here, but then again, we'll explain more about our final thoughts on, for the entire thing itself until whenever we get onto the actual, well, almost conclude towards the end of this entire Let's Play or something like that. So, yeah, obviously today's day is the forms of the 10th of May today, in this case in 2020. There are some good things to talk about, but also some of the worst news that we can able to think of. But let's get about the positive things out of the way first. First of all, we did manage to able to play through a bit on our own time, playing through Donkey Kong 64, because that was a game we really loved to try out. And so far so good, we actually on the halfway point of the game already, despite that we actually getting a little bit of a slow progression in terms of the forms of trying to 100% for everything, or to be more specifically, 101% of the entire main progression in terms of completionist in Donkey Kong 64. And so far so good, since we actually did play that game on our own time, and we actually get so much more progression for it. But either way though, that's for discussion for a later time. But for now, let's go ahead and get on to the forms of the first part of Airship Central, because I say first part of this board. This is because this board does have a lot of variety when it comes to the forms of different parts during the actual board. But first of all, let's get this out of the way with the first minigame of this entire board like this. And that what appears to be another free-for-all minigame. So let's see what minigame are we going to be playing through. Oh no. We got the luck-based minigame out of all the actual minigame set. Fruits Cahoots. Vote to go with A or stop with B, get some apples. As what I said earlier, this minigame is pretty luck-based. Cause think of like a Womp Stomp for Mario Party 9, but rather than doing with the boss battle minigame luckily this time around, but rather we have to deal with the forms of just have no control inputs with your computer players or anything. So either way, looks like so far so good anyway though, at least we got ourselves 3 apples in between. So, but anyway though, that's as far as I can say. Just get out to hopefully, God forbid, trying to bet on the victory we're able to overcome or not. So it's all depending on luck, basically. So either way though, and that's why I said this before, that thankfully though, Mario Party 10 does not have any of the those too much emphasis on luck-based minigames. There are 2 luck-based minigames that we can think of, like we've already come across into one already, which is of course Fruits Cahoots, but there's also another luck-based minigame here and there as well, but we'll get into more on that until whenever we get on to next weekend or something. So either way though, because chances are, all you have to do is just basically just collect apples while simply avoiding these bob-bombs that, if you somehow get the bob-bomb, then you weren't able to lose 1 point. So yeah, that's about it basically. So there's not much else we can able to say apart from, well, you just have to make sure you have to, God forbid, try to able to have best of luck, really. And of course, as you can see on screen, we are selecting Donkey Kong for this point today. And as far as computer players are concerned, we have the returning Princess Peach and Toad ever since in Mushroom Park, and also the returning of Spike himself ever since in Haunted Trail. Even though we would have able to expect this right now, it almost feels kind of like the equivalent character roster compared to Mushroom Park video, but except that Rosaline has been replaced by, you know, Spike himself. We were expecting if we could add in, you know, Toadette instead, but ultimately though, we just have to go for this as it is from now on. And much like the forms of, well, we'll discuss more about that until whenever we get onto the final board in Mario Party 10 Mario Party mode until likely next Saturday or something, so... Yeah, in this first part in Airship Central, as you can see right there, we're actually going to have to traverse for those different airships, which have some different variations of those airships in general. One we have to get some mini stars with, and some airships does contain mini Z stars. But the ones you definitely need to avoid, however though, is of course the mini Z star airships. So alternatively speaking, that sometimes you can either just utilize with the special dice blocks so that you can wait until some airships will start to alternate so that you can able to get some mini stars with. But then again, we'll point it out whenever we after we're done with this minigame. So, next new minigame, sorry, we have Cloud Cover. So, memorize the buttons along the route. Also known as in the North American version, this minigame calls it Fool Me Once. So, no idea why this get that name changed, but either way, that's far as worth mentioning. Because, you know, much like in Mario Party Island Tour, that the minigame names have been slightly, altered between different regions you lived in, so... But yeah, that could be the same applies for this game in particular, so... In this minigame right here is that you have to memorize 7 button platforms until you're able to make your way to the end. So, that's basically how this goes, basically, in terms of this board in general. Or no, sorry, this minigame, sorry. In fact, kind of thinking about it, we're actually taking place in the skies, just like in the Airship Central board. So, yeah, there's not much else we can say about this, apart from the fact that we're almost at the halfway point of this entire Let's Play. Like, I'm not even kidding when I say that, because... Well, then again, we'll talk more about it whenever we get on to the extra side of things of how this game offers us to until at some point in June. So either way though, we can at least try to able to save that discussion for later. So anyways, now let's go ahead and move on to this next turn where I believe... I would assume that, well, I would say Toad might actually get the benefits for getting those mini stars from. So in this case, he got himself his slow dice block, so yeah, he will get himself a better chance for able to get himself some more mini stars to begin with. Especially noticeable how the fact that he can able to land on the dash space, so that way he can able to actually get even more mini stars, especially depending on the actual, you know, the high roll and everything. So this means that, well, they simply managed to avoid a lot of those mini Z stars to begin with. And as for Peach, on the other hand, though, she will use the same item as before, except, well, I think it's pretty obvious that the reason why she's going to go for 4 as opposed to, 2, either way, that, she wants, not only she really wants to go to the boss battle space, but also, trying to get those mini stars from there. So yeah, I wonder what the next boss fight we actually fight it against this time. Even though so far so good in terms of mini boss fights in particular, but I wouldn't say the same thing for normal boss fights in particular, sadly. But anyway, Mega Monty Mall's Maze Mischief. In this case, the first Monty Mall boss battle minigame in a Mario Party game. So yeah. Race through the maze and fire the cannon. Be first and fire the big one. So yeah, whoever makes it to the actual ending portion of the maze first will able to actually achieve the biggest amount of hits as you can get. Even though generally speaking, that was before when Mario Party Star Rush came around, and then they were able to actually bring Mega Monty Mall again as a boss battle again, but on a much more than different scale. Like, you know, trying to deal the damage on its head, like a whack-a-mole kind of syndrome. But then eventually in Super Mario Party came out that Monty Mall will now finally become a playable character. So even then I just want to make things a little bit sweeter, especially noticeable how the fact that, well, Monty Mall is actually a cool character to use in any forms of Super Mario Party, so even then I just want to able to point it out. So yeah, the object of this minigame, as you can see right there, is the fact that you need to make your way towards the end of this main sequence, and in that way you should be able to actually get some points based off on what cannons you're going to be using. So, self-explanatory stuff really, but until whenever we get onto the second half, during forms of the entire battle like this, it starts to get a little bit more chaotic and insane at the same time. That we'll get into that at some point. But from now on though, we barely get enough damage on Monty Mole to begin with. But at least we can able to just, you know, just try to think carefully before it starts to go, just goes like that for their camera angles and stuff. So either way though, let's go ahead and just, how come Toad managed to make it there first? Oh wait, it's probably because of that bit right there. We could go for that way rather than just on the right, but oh well, we're able to actually go for that anyway. Plus, I get a feeling about the fact that Toad doesn't get, oh yeah, he does manage to get more points than ever before. So anyway, now let's move on to the second phase at this entire boss battle now, is the fact that every once in a while, the bombs just now start to lay onto the actual maze itself, and it's your job to able to actually just try to avoid them, so much so. But if you somehow get blown up by the bomb, as what Spike just did right there, not only does it give you a little bit more of a split second, like, you know, trying to able to actually blown up in midair, but also you will able to lose your chance so that you can able to actually just lose a point. So yeah, you have to be very careful on that part, especially noticeable how the fact that, oh jeez, this could be kind of, well, kind of tricky to able to navigate through, but aside from able to actually getting a lot of bombs laid around, I was hoping I can able to actually make it for this point. If you don't make it to this maze, however, though, this will actually happen. So in addition to able to not only just get enough time to able to make our way towards the cannons to begin with, but also we'll able to actually get blown up by the bomb and able to actually get tossed out back at the beginning and also lose a point in the process. So kind of unexcusable, I have to say, but either way though, it's just a little bit of health left. Oh wait, Peach makes it! Dang it, she's actually smart. She's smart. That's what I mean when it comes to Peach becoming the actual, computer player's godsend or something like that. Or maybe not so much for godsend, but either way though, seriously, what is up with every single Mario Party games that, why is it always Peach that always gives us a little bit of a tough time enduring throughout the years of the Mario Party games, despite we need to redo those games again for able to improve the quality and everything? But then again, we'll discuss more into those whenever definitely we'll get back onto the original Mario Party after when this has been done. So anyways, that's the first part of the board out of the way, and now we get on to the second portion of the board, where basically we're actually going to have to traverse for the Stormy Cloud. And here's the thing though, is the fact that once you make your way from here, then not only does it able to actually get ourselves the coolest music ever, but also we actually come across into ourselves the actual Bowser's airship. And what happens is that every once in a while there's going to be some red lock-on targets, as you can see on screen, that shows us the blue space and any other space in between. So what happens if you do manage to accidentally land onto those lock-on cursors, if you're probably wondering? Well, much like well, I would say much like losing half of your mini-stars by Bowser and stuff like that once you've accidentally unlocked the actual cage for him. What happens is, you lose half of your mini-stars if you gain blast out, or in this case, if you manage to get hit by those bullet bills from there. So yeah, it's always just a matter of time you can able to actually just try and able to, well, sometimes avoid them, whilst most of the time it's unavoidable due to luck dice block is in this game. Well, as long as you would able to actually utilize the special dice block to begin with, then you should be able to actually avoid them no problem. So as a result though, on the other hand though, that this is probably this is the hardest part about this board sometimes, because, well, if you really want to keep your mini-stars count alive, like where Toad just accidentally just land onto the actual, you know, the danger zone here, then basically there goes the actual mini-stars from him. So as a result though, yeah, that could be a little bit of a misunfortunate right there. But nonetheless though, it does have some bit of variety in them, and it looks like Peach is gonna have her go. So even then though, I think, according to our Wii U gamepads, is the fact that the last number lock will have to be buddy forms of 3. So, unfortunately, Peach doesn't get 3, so as a result, we really want to able to catch up onto our mini-stars count. Because we haven't got that much in terms of mini-stars to begin with since the very beginning of... Well, I would say since Whimsical Wonders or something like that, but chances are though, in the beginning portion of this board, we haven't got that much mini-stars though. Speaking of some mini-stars, let's go ahead and grab some more by achieving... Okay, 5 will be good. Especially noticeable is way better by just trying to avoid those long-gone cursors right here. Even though it will be a lot better than 4, because if we get 4, then we're pretty much gonna get ourselves screwed over. Yeah, let's get ourselves the 0 to 1 dice block in case if there are some emergency situations like so. And let's go for another mini game, which we have 2 versus 2 once again. I wonder what 2 versus 2 minigame we are going to be playing through. It looks like we have Football Fever, also known as in a North American version, this minigame calls it Soccer Brawl. So I just want to point that out. Work as a team to score goals. I will have to admit though right away, unlike in Super Mario Party that does have a very good football minigame that you can able to actually kick the football within individual side of things and work as a team as always. However, that cannot be same applies. I'm not looking forward to replaying this minigame this time around because, well, it's been like a combination of both football as well as balance ball brawl that the minigame we have not come across into yet. I will say it is very difficult to control, especially noticeable to be more specifically turning controls. Because as a result, yeah, because most of the time we just keep on like caught off guard by the forms of not only computer players' teammates or something like that, but it's kind of hard to score a goal sometimes because I swear to God, I was gonna able to turn around and defend the ball like anything else without resides, unlike the most flawless controls in you know, the ones in Super Mario Party counterparts. This just feels kind of difficult to able to not only trying to deal with like scoring a goal and everything, but most of the time it just feels come across as like pretty difficult. And as a result, I think this is where we come across into our draw in this minigame. As you can clearly see here. And yeah, much like always is that, oh yeah, we don't able to actually reward mini stars for that matter. So unlike Mario Party 9, that you do at least get some mini stars if you manage to come across into a draw or something. So, and it looks like Spike wants to get himself his bigger boost for trying to able to skip this entire sequence or this entire ordeal. Speaking of 2 versus 2 actually, is the fact that one thing I forgot to mention about this ever since the beginning portion of the entire Let's Play of this, is the fact that I'm very glad that 2 versus 2 minigames has now finally makes its return after the hiatus of the forms of after the events of both Mario Party 8 as well as Mario Party DS. Because, excuse me, because of this though, the only time that Mario Party 9 does manage to able to retain a 2 versus 2 minigame was actually on the extras mode, which is of course the Shell Shocker minigame. Sorry for a little bit of a tongue twisting there, folks, I do apologize for that. So, I'm guessing it's probably because back in Mario Party 9, that Bowser Jr. minigame starts to come in. Well, actually, I'll get into more on that later, because we have a new minigame, Paintball Battle, aka a prequel to Splatoon. Aim at your rivals and press and shoot with 2. So, again, as I mentioned this before, this is like a prequel to Splatoon, because this game came out exactly the same year as what Splatoon first came out on the Wii U. And speaking of Splatoon, actually, it's the fact that we're almost at the point where Splatoon, the first game, will become 5 years old until I would say the May the 26th or something, although I may be wrong, just because of how the fact that it's been such a long time since we actually did look up our recap of 2015 year as a result. So let's get Peach out of the way, so just in case we can able to focusing on other players and stuff. Ah, dang it, I wasn't paying attention right here. Oh, jeez. We actually got pretty close right there. But hey, at least it's pretty cool to able to feature this minigame right here, or in this case, play this minigame, because it kind of reminds me of, Splatoon. Except the fact that this game came out first, before Splatoon, mind you, but either way, let's see how Peach is doing. Ah, she doesn't get the 3 yet. And to make that even much more nerve-wracking is the fact that I think she might able to actually win this, which, either way though, that's all I can really predict on that. So that's the other part done, and now let's move on to the next part, where we gain surrounded by cannons, but in order to able to progress, we need to take down this Bowser's airship. And how do we get those? Or how do we get the actual opportunities to, you know, just trying to able to actually proceed to the end of the board? We need to take down 10 hit points by Bowser's airship. And in order to able to do that, we need to land on those cannon spaces, which sometimes you can either be 2 cannon attacks or 4 times attacks. So even then, it's all just a matter of time whenever you're just trying to able to attack the actual thing. By the way, if you somehow manage to land on the unlucky space, it'll pretty much does the same thing as the second phase or the second section. So seriously, Toad is actually getting very unlucky right now. Especially it doesn't help about the fact that we feel sorry for this poor kid. But I digress. Ha! She goes to 3! This means farewell to your mini-stars, Peach. Well, speaking of such, this is the final time seeing this. Because whenever we get onto the final board until likely next Saturday or something, then we'll able to get, Bowser will get replaced by someone else. I think it's pretty obvious because of how the fact that, well, one thing I should probably point things out right away, unlike in the past few Mario Party games, that usually the final boards were already locked from the start. The final board in this game was actually unlocked from the start this time around, which is super odd kind of thing about it, but even then though, that makes it a little bit more questionable when it comes to unlockable decisions or something, like, I don't know how do I explain this. But I digress. But regardless of everything else though, Piglet, is the fact that I'm pretty sure Peach was able to still get her mini-stars back, because as you can see, she managed to deal with the final blow to that particular airship. So what happens if you do manage to able to deal with the final blow to that airship, by the way? You'll be rewarded with 10 mini-stars, as you can see here. So naturally speaking, she's now back in first, so we still need to catch up. And once that's been done, well, we need to simply just go straight forward, and that's all you have to do here. While simply trying to avoid a lot of those Bowser spaces, as you can see right here. So let's go for 4, well, not so much for 4, but, oh, really? We always get 1! I'm so sick of getting low rolls in this sometimes. Hey, it will be it will be kind of crazy though if we're able to do the entire Mario Party marathon of Let's Plays, like 1 through 8, specifically the classic traditional gameplay style and stuff like that, to able to get the oddballs out of the way. But either way though, that's something else entirely. Alright, so we got ourselves the 0 to 1 dice block, as you can see, so we actually got 2 spare of these at the moment. Even though we could have able to save one until likely later on or something, but hey. Alright, 1 versus 3 minigame. We have Watermelon Racking, or Racking as far as I want to pronounce that, but sometimes though it can be hard to precise on that part. Alright, so solo player is to simply we need to hit the watermelons with 1, and then rivals is to simply just run away. So that's all you have to think about it. Alright, let's go ahead and just whack some watermelons at those rivals right here. So let's get this thing to it, and... What? Hold on, let me draw on Toad. What? How is that even possible? What is going on with the hitbox? Well, we did manage to hit Peach right here, but as far as Spike and Toad is concerned, what? How is that even there? What happened to the hitbox? What is going on? Come on, hit him! Hit him! Jesus! What the hell was that? What the hell is up with the hit detection right here for that hammer? Alright, so this is definitely a sequel to Amy Rose's gameplay style for Sonic 06, where you're able to have a lot of hit detections for Amy Rose's hammer to able to attack enemies with. I guess it's kind of like the same thing from here. But if you somehow manage to select Donkey Kong or something, I feel sorry for him right now. Ah, jeez, I can't believe we got screwed over by that, you know, the weakest hit detection right here for those watermelons in particular. That's just very underwhelming right there. That is screwed over right there. Anyway, oh yeah, something's worth mentioning also is the fact that the North American version of that minigame that we just played, despite we got screwed over by collision detection, hammer swinging and stuff like that. The North American version's name of that minigame is called Watermelon William, which I have no idea how do I pronounce that, so... Alright, new minigame, Cliffside Crisis. In this case, another free-for-all new minigame. Seems though we played most of those anyway. Stay on the prompts and jump with 2. So we have seen these guys since Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2, but now they've brought back, for the first time ever in HD, but in a party game rather than on a platformer. So yeah, we need to still survive, and that's all you have to really think about. Actually, this minigame is kind of fun, actually, because of how the fact that, well, yeah, you need to be able to actually be very cautious and be careful, despite Peach and Toad managed to able to fall off at the same time. By the way, since that both Peach and Toad managed to get into the same exact position, in this case, we always have to sit through all these tiebreaker games, much like in Mario Party Island Tour, where it does the exact same thing right there for most positions, except this time, it doesn't happen all the time this time around, because the only time it only happens is whenever we come across into a battle minigame, or in this case, boss battle minigames this time around. So, I just want to classify that right away, and looks like Peach was off by 1 space left by getting 10 mini stars from there. But I digress. So let's see what the Bowser event is going to be, and it is reverse minigame, of course. So in this case, let's get ourselves some more mini stars so that way we can able to catch up from. So either way though, that's all I can really think about it. Okay, speaking of such though, let's mention about the forms of the bad things of specifically the bad news, unfortunate stuff, and that will have to be by the forms of, well, first of all, unfortunately, sadly, is that the Wonderful 101 remastered version, specifically the physical release of the game, is now officially delayed due to COVID-2019, and as a result, the North American version will be available until 30th of June, and as far as the European version is concerned, it will be on the 3rd of July. So it kind of sucks, just because of how the fact that most people who haven't experienced the original game yet on the Wii U and able to give that game a go during the forms of on the Nintendo Switch or PS4 or Steam, or, well, to be more specifically those two most likely, is that, well, they're gonna have to wait for a very, very, very long while. And talking of which, actually, is the fact that one thing that really ticks me off the most, and that was the fact that, do you remember what Definitely has already mentioned about this ever since in Team Sonic Racing Let's Play? Recently there's going to be some rumor reports stating about the fact that there will be a no Nintendo Direct during the forms of June, and I was like, oh Christ, this is going to get worse. Especially noticeable how the fact that, well, at least we have some announcements back in Journey Forms of in, well, let's say back on March, in this case the beginning of the year, but seemingly to say, we don't think we can able to get that much more stuff as you think, which I was like, that really is kind of a shame, really, because, again, as far as we already stated that from the past, I get the feeling 2020 is going to be the basic bare bones year as we experienced with, but we'll save that until likely for until whenever we get to the end of the year. But I digress. Speaking of which, actually, is the fact that we were originally trying to able to actually cope with this also, is the fact that we were expecting to able to see some more new unboxing videos, kind of type of videos that we like to do throughout the years. Unfortunately though, we really can't afford to able to do these every now and then now, for the sake of the forms of this year, just because we have to deal with the forms of trying to able to, like, think of like that we're gonna be getting a new game until at some point this month, which is of course Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition on Nintendo Switch. We were excited to able to actually just to play that game again, but on a much more better quality and stuff like that. However though, that the unboxing video for that particular game is sadly it's not gonna happen because of the forms of the terrible coronavirus situation. I'm just gonna be a little bit more ticked off from that point, Piglet, I really do. I know, don't feel bad for yourself, Sonic, because we still got some tons of games to play, like, you know, we're playing Mario Party 10, So we can expect this much, so that way we can able to improve the code quality and everything. I mean, that won't be that bad, right? Well, yeah, still, but even then, it's just a matter of the fact that if we're able to do some more, you know, other things in general, like the unboxing videos we like to do for the sake of the majority of the year, that's not gonna happen this time around, until when it gets to a point until likely Christmas this year. So even though no spoiler warning for those of you who want to keep things a little bit more of an update for you guys. So, yeah, as far as I can say. But, luckily though, as far as what Duffy has already established earlier, ever since in Team Sonic Racing Let's Play, is the fact that out of nowhere, that Luigi's Mansion 3 DLC Pack 2 just recently came out during the forms of I would say it did happen since 30th of April, and I was like, oh, I was quite shocked about that because, well, usually relatively speaking, we were originally trying to able to wait for that, and during at some point in summer 2020, by guessing it might actually push it forward a little bit, until it gets to the point until likely in the exact same season as in the first pack. So I was like, okay, I'm cool with that. But even then, we're not going to mention more details about this because I'm pretty sure enough Defi has already mentioned about a lot of things to cover through. So, anyway, Chemix Rocket Rampage, we've already seen this minigame before. I would say since Haunted Trail, but despite that, however, though, that this is our second time fighting against with him. Even though despite the fact that we actually face off against with Kamek twice, and Bowser twice, but we've not actually come across into Mega Blooper yet, and even especially noticeable with Petey Piranha, and even especially noticeable with King Boo himself. So, at least for the mini-bosses department, Piglet is actually not too bad. So, either way though, we can at least expecting for this much. So, either way though, let's go ahead and rank up some more points, trying to deal with some more damage on Kamek here, and hopefully, hope for the best, trying to able to be victorious. Now, I think similarly to say, Sonic, is the fact that I'm pretty sure we might as well able to become victorious, after all, because after all, we did manage to win the reverse minigame after all, and especially noticeable, we did manage to win the most insane amount of minigames that we're able to play through, including the luck-based minigame, which is of course Fruits Cahoots and stuff like that for that nature. So either way, that's all I can say about it. So anyways, let's go ahead and deal with him for the final time. In fact, seemingly to say, this will be the last time trying to see Kamek in this game because, well, usually relatively speaking, that's all I can think about it. I know it's not much to talk about, apart from the fact that there are some good things and some bad news to talk about. But even then, no, it's fun to able to discuss something like this. Look how many points does some players manage to get right now. They keep on getting hits most of the time right there. Despite we set them on hard mode, not on very hard or master mode. By the way, much like in Mario Party 9, and especially noticeable with, I would say, Mario Party Island Tour, and especially noticeable for Star Rush, the Top 100, and even recently Super Mario Party, there's also the third unlockable difficulty for CPUs, which is Master Mode, where basically the aggressive, well, usually for the CPUs gets aggressive and all that stuff, so even then I just want to point that out for the actual, what the actual main description for Master Difficulty looks like. So even then though, once again we have a tiebreaker game, except now it's Spike and Princess Peach. So in this case, Peach wins the bet for being on third place position. So in this case, that we did manage to able to conquer it all in terms of, you know, the actual boss battle itself. So now onto the final results screen right here, in this case the reward ceremony, so let's see what bonus stars we can able to see in this board. So the first one we have is the slow star, which is rewarded to us, because we haven't got that far into the forms of the movements and stuff. And finally the dice star, which is also to us, because I'm thinking that using a 0 to 1 dice block will be such a good idea after all. So of course, as to be expecting what the winner is going to be, it'll be us basically, because, you know, we actually did that pretty well, despite with all these shortcomings, but either way though, we did manage to able to become victorious within the fourth board in Mario Party 10 Mario Party mode. You'll be so proud, Donkey Kong, because you are very glad to become a playable character ever since, you know, in Mario Party 4, in terms of the Mario Party game's history. And look at that huge margin of mini-stars that we actually won by. We won by 50 mini-stars by Princess Peach, by a huge margin. So anyways, as for photographers they actually showcase off is the start of the mini-star comeback for the Toad's highlights. So yeah, I guess that's all I can say about this here. So either way, join us next weekend for more of Let's Play of Mario Party 10. It's the fact that we are about to be moving on to the final board in Mario Party 10 Mario Party mode, and that's what appears to be probably our favorite board. Sorry for a little bit of intentions right there. Our favorite board in Mario Party 10, and that's what appears to be Chaos Castle. So see you guys next Saturday. Later fellas, see you guys next weekend.